Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 19. Chapter 2. The Beginning of the Great War. Another problem. After the discussion that night, it was decided that Kigali and Tyr would remain in my country's custody. Tyr was still unconscious, and it was safer to take care of her in the Labyrinth. We could get detailed information and find out if there was any malicious intent at work. So, it was only natural that Kigali would come with me. I accepted the two of them without any complaint. Sylvia-san returned to Sarian. She would have been a great help as a warrior, but what was most important to Sylvia-san was Sarian, where her daughter was. I couldn't just force her to do anything I wanted, so we promised to cooperate with each other if anything happened. I also gave her a cell phone, just in case. Eltan had one, but I decided that it would be better for Sylvia-san to have one as a backup. The communication function of the Demon's Ring was not universal, and it was best to have as many means of communication as possible. After this trouble was all over, we could use them for fun. After exchanging our contact information, I saw Sylvia-san off. And now, I was in my office. There was so much paperwork that I almost felt as if my daily life had returned to normal. Just by looking at them, my anger towards Feldway seemed to increase by about 30%. Look, I wasn't just playing around either. And yet, there were piles upon piles of proposals that needed my approval, and a mountain of meeting notes for various measures that were being taken. For the time being, I was putting off the meeting notes. I didn't need to rush to look at them, because they had already been done. I looked through the new projects that needed approval and quickly decided whether they were acceptable or not. I was busy, but it couldn't be helped. After all, the day after tomorrow, the World Conference would be held in Kingdom of Ingratia. That's right, a World Conference. This would be the first such event in history. The participation of the Emperor of the Eastern Empire in the Western States Council, which was regularly held in the West, was an unprecedented event. Actually, I was supposed to meet up with Miles in the Kingdom of Bloomond and go with him. But then some idiot decided to invade Leon's country, and that's why our plans were thrown off. It was a mistake that I was now forced to fill in the gaps with these documents. But that was all over now. All I had to do now was to sip some tea and relax. I would try to calm down and collect my thoughts before the show. Rimuru-sama, here's your tea. It was Diablo, not Shuna, who brought me the tea. He was working hard as a secretary, probably because Shion was away. Thank you. You should take a break with me too. I said as such, encouraging Diablo to sit face to face. Diablo was thrilled and looked at me to say something like, I'm honored, but I ignored it and started talking. So, what kind of guy is Feldway, from your point of view? From my point of view, he seemed to be surprisingly unpopular. If he wasn't, Dino wouldn't have betrayed him so easily. Anyway, what I needed now was information about the enemy. If you know what kind of character they have, you will be able to judge to what extent they can bluff, or not, in case of emergency. I understood well enough that he was cautious, so I thought I would ask if there was anything else. Diablo thought for a moment and then answered. He's a serious guy. He is hard-headed, inflexible, or whatever you wish to call it, but once he has made up his mind, he will not bend his will. He has a personality that doesn't consider other people's opinions even as a reference, so his peers were divided in their evaluation of him. In other words, for a yes man, he is an easy boss, because they only have to do what they are ordered to do. And for a talented and creative person, he is an uninteresting boss who ignores their own opinions. It can be very stressful if your opinion is not accepted. If there is a good reason that is explained to you, you will be satisfied, but if there is just a rejection, you might be left with a grudge. Is there anything else? When I asked, Diablo began to worry, muttering, that's right. Then he responded with an I'm not certain about this, and went on to tell me something more important than I had expected. To put it simply, it was about how to get to and from their base in this world. They, the aggressors, were the altered versions of those banished from this world by Veldanava and the angel legions that were their watchers. Their base, of course, was in the otherworld. The connection between the otherworld and this place, the cardinal world, was a special force field called the Underworld Gate, and there were several of them around the world. They were guarded, or rather controlled, by the demons. Surprisingly, they were expanding their sphere of influence around the Underworld Gate. The only one known to exist was the Underworld Gate guarded by Carrere, not too far from Leon's territory. The other gates guarded by Tensura and Ultima had disappeared due to a major battle. We're better off without them. If you go to the other world with your body, it will be contaminated and transformed. Those who come here from the other side are almost certainly aggressors. He told me bitterly. In short, it would be easier to destroy the gate itself since it only brought chaos in this world. Tensura and Ultima didn't approve of that. They had been guarding the gate for a long time, but when Diablo went to scout for them, the gate was broken, so they had been easy to recruit. I thought to myself, that can't be true, right? But I didn't say it. As proof, the gate that Carrera had guarded appeared to be broken. At present, it seemed that the gates had been left unattended, because one could not come and go without great power. I secretly thought that the correct answer was that it was broken on purpose. But back to the main topic, what Diablo was wondering about was how Feldway and the others had come to this world. Diablo speculated that perhaps a new gate had appeared somewhere in the Empire. Or maybe they've restored the gate that Tensura used to guard. I cannot deny that possibility. However, it doesn't match the time when Feldway appeared in the Empire, so it is certain that another gate exists. Well, that made sense. So then, you're assuming that the aggressor's base is inside the Empire, right? So, I confirmed as such, but Diablo's concern was something else entirely. No, that's not all. From what I heard of Kigali's story, there is no doubt that Feldway has opened the gates to the Heavenly Star Palace. One would need a key to open it. The Heavenly Star Palace, also known as the Place of Beginnings, and the birthplace of Veldanava, I believe. As Kigali had explained, Feldway's base was adjacent to every world. In other words, Diablo's concern was about how to get the key. There is no point in worrying about how they got it. What matters is that, if you pass through the gates of the Heavenly Star Palace, you can come to the cardinal world with the body that exists in the other world. Oops, I'm glad that I didn't put that into words, because it was way off. Even so, what did he mean by the body that exists in the other world? Of the primordials, only Feldway was given a body by Veldanava-sama. The current one is only inhabiting a temporary body, so there is no point in killing it. Is this something like Valgren's parallel existence? No, it's different from that. It's not like they are connected all the time, but rather they're splitting their consciousnesses. He's probably synchronizing his memories periodically, so there are no inconveniences. That's why it was so troublesome, Diablo explained to me. From what I could understand, Valgren was like a set of synchronized computers connected to the internet, and Feldway was like a set of computers disconnected from the internet, with only the data being transferred from the terminals. That seems to be the correct understanding. In other words, spacetime continuous attack will not be able to reach the main body, so he is a very troublesome opponent. I see, very troublesome. So then, unless we go to the place where the main body is to defeat Feldway, you can't defeat him. It's certainly troublesome, but, if the main body is going to go out of its way, isn't that convenient for us? Rather than searching for someone we don't know where he is, it would save us a lot of trouble if he came to us. That's what I thought, but it seems that it was not that simple. Diablo answered. Yes. However, he is simply quite strong. It's possible that his main body's fighting ability could surpass that of Guy's. That is why I wondered if we needed to be prepared for any eventuality. The body Veldanava had given him was a treasure to Feldway. That's why Feldway was always inhabiting a temporary body to avoid damaging it. But we also had to consider the possibility of him reversing that belief. I think that was correct. The situation should not be turned upside down by a single idea from the other party. And even more so, when it was a force that couldn't be ignored. A serious Guy is on par with Velzerb-san. That means that Feldway is also comparable to a true dragon, right? Kufufufu, that is correct. Diablo says that Feldway was pretty bad back in the day. Compared to the Insect Lord Solanus and the world-destroying Dragon Iverge, he was a bit of a letdown, but in reality, that wasn't really the case. Even the existence value measured in the Labyrinth was not accurate if it was not the main body. So, Feldway's true power was unknown. I'll leave it to you, but you'll be okay, right? I plan to leave Feldway to Diablo. I was surprised to hear that Feldway's true strength was that of a true dragon, but I knew Diablo would be able to handle. No, isn't it impossible as expected? But as soon as Diablo heard my words, he replied with a big smile on his face. I am deeply moved, Rimuru-sama. I will continue to strive to live up to your trust. Oh, it looks like it's okay. Diablo may be overconfident, but he does not take on things he cannot do. He may or may not be able to win, but he seems to think it's possible to deal with Feldway. If so, it would be foolish for me to worry about it. It is always better to have a trusted subordinate fight against an opponent whose fight may turn out to be an indefinite battle. So, I decided to let Diablo to do his best, as I had originally planned. Now that I understood how bad Feldway was, I was curious about the next target. How do you think he'll make his move? That's right, it's hard to predict, but based on Feldway's personality, I'd say he's most likely planning to go after Masayuki Dono. Eh? The unexpected answer took me by surprise. But it was certainly an opinion I could not ignore. I thought there was no point in going after Masayuki, but then I reconsidered the possibility. Why was Masayuki targeted in the first place? They had probably suspected that he was the reincarnation of Rudra and wanted to kill him. And this was proven by the fact that Velgren loves Masayuki. Feldway was probably more wary of Rudra than Masayuki. The reason for this was unclear, but it was certainly not surprising that Masayuki would be a target. In the first place, I don't think the reason is important. I don't mean to be insistent, but Feldway is a hard-headed man who won't admit to his own mistakes. He is not the kind of guy who would give up just because he failed once. Diablo said it just like that. I was even more convinced in that case. Then the next meeting might be dangerous. Velgren-san will be escorting him, so unless something goes wrong, I think we'll be fine, but you should be on the lookout as well. Please rest assured. I am always perfectly prepared for anything. That's the kind of thing I can trust in Diablo. Regardless of his personality, he is an excellent worker. His rival, Sean, was also on a business trip right now, so there was no need to worry about him. Diablo and I were continuing our detailed conversation, identifying any concerns, when we received some shocking news. There's been a huge problem, Rimuru. The call came from Milim, full of a hint of trouble. What's the matter? Actually, a bear has escaped. Oh? She said that she was caught betraying Feldway, and got into a fight with Michael. This was not something one should talk about on the telepathy net via Demon's Ring. And so, I decided to go to Milim's place. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.